pictures on RC groups because it's easier to post detailed pictures because I don't want to film myself building it because I do a lot of cursing and everything else while I'm building. So, yeah, so I don't make a lot of videos, but I'm going to make this one and a couple more on some other products. I'm going to show you the Vibe 2 also later on. And so let's get started. Let's start with the fuse. The fuse, oh, by the way, if you guys are going to start building planes or you've never built planes, a good thing to start is a nice solid workbench, of course, and these moving blankets are from Harbor Freight. You can use any moving blanket, but I learned that from a buddy who works for Horizon, Pete Goldsmith. I went over to his shop one time. He had moving blankets on his table. I was like, man, that's a great idea. You don't scratch things, and things don't roll off, things don't fall. And then I have a little fuse holder that I built all my, it's really a big fuse holder, but I set my other things on it for helping out. And then when you build a wing, a piece of egg crate foam. I don't know if you can see this in the view, but a piece of egg crate foam for working on your wing helps out a lot. Keeps you from denting it, scratching it, everything. So let's get started. Fuse. Looks like it's made of 80-gram spread toe. It's pretty big. And for comparison, I have a Snipe nose cone right here. So if you look, you can see they're pretty similar in size. The reason it has a funny look to it is everyone's used to canopy on top, but the canopy's on the bottom. So if I put the Snipe nose cone behind it, it kind of shadow it. But fairly similar in size. Everyone knows the Snipe, you build it on the boom, and the nose cone goes over it. And this is just a normal pod. Really rigid, really strong. Aluminum inserts, which is pretty nice for a plane of this price. The tail does not have aluminum inserts in it. It's just a resin drilled and threaded in the resin, which is fine. Canopy, here it is. Glass canopy, black. Sits in there really nice, really flush. Did a nice job molding it. So there it is, and we'll use a magnet or something, or you know, some tape to close it. However you want to do that. So this fuse came with a plywood servo tray already glued into it, and I didn't like that. It was farther back. It was basically right where the canopy is, but you can see the canopy versus the nose. That is way more room than I need for a battery or a receiver, but might not be more room than a new guy building it or a new girl or whoever's building it. They might, you know, a big fuse is always good for someone who's starting out, even though this plane is a little bit better than a starting plane. So really strong, really nice. So I already mentioned the aluminum inserts, and on the top, if you can see, it has an indentation, and that indentation is for you to Dremel a little slot in there so you can connect up your control horns for your wing once we get to that point. So there we go. I'm going to weigh everything for you and let you know what it weighs. This is going to be just a generic weight. I don't know if this is an early one, a late one, but I've already weighed the parts, and they seem reasonable for the price you pay for this plane. Not super light, not super heavy. Just hang. If you guys don't have a gram scale when you start building, get one. These are cheap. Amazon, 12 bucks. You buy them 3 or 4 at a time, and I get glue all over them and I just throw them away. So let's start out. So we tear it. It weighs 42. Oh, let me get it straight. 42.25. 42.25. So 42.25 grams. Not super heavy. Not really super light, but good. You know, strong. I'm not going to break this fuse throwing it. No way. It's too wide in the cross section. Really rugged, stiff. I don't know if somebody plowed it into the ground if the nose is going to fold over at the canopy, but probably. But it won't when I show you the servo tray. So the servo tray I made for it. I already made it. I've already worked in this plane a little bit after I ground the fuse out. The servo tray, piece of Roacell. It's just normal Roacell. If you don't have Roacell, you can use balsa. Just as good. But this piece of Roacell is sanded radius on the bottom and then kind of radius on top, and the radiuses are for that it fits nice and tight in the fuse down there, and I can shove it forward and build everything forward. I'm a weight forward kind of guy, so this weighs half a gram. So once it's glued down in there, you don't really need to glue it in there really good, just a little bit of maybe a light skim of epoxy or whatever you're going to use, not CA because it soaks CA up, but a light skim epoxy, glue it down. And then a piece of glass cloth, maybe 7.5, 1.25, whatever you have, over it. So you would take a piece of glass cloth, 3M77 it, stick this down in there, lay the glass cloth over it with 3M77, which I can show you later if I get some comments on that. tuck it all down, make it all nice and neat, and then lightly hit it with CA, and whammo, you're good to go. So this is a stand-up to get your servos up, get them up against the sides of the fuse so that you can put your wires down the side of it, and really strong, really makes a composite structure in there. Super light, keeps your fuse from breaking, almost gives it kind of a keel, not really a keel, but it gives it like more strength. So it's probably not as strong as a piece of plywood bolted in there, but the plywood was 10 times heavier than this. So I like light, so I'm going to make it as light as I can. I'm going to shove it forward. I'll show pictures of that in RC groups, you know, later on in the build. So 42 grams, somewhere in there. Fuse is strong, really nice, really shiny. This nice little divot here for that, I really like that a lot. I like the whole thing. It looks really good. So let's move on to the tails. I'll just set that there. And the tails are made out of, I'm going to reach over here and get them. So this one, and I shove this one under this. Oh, there we go. Tails look to be made out of XPS. They're not ROSO. I think it's called XPS. I think that's what everyone calls it. It's that yellow foam you see on the, I don't know what that is, carbon floating around. Got a spar on both sides. Looks good. Hinges are cut really nice. The one thing I did notice is it is drilled, but it is not hard. It is not hard pointed. So I'm going to be boring out the bottom of it, and so all you do is you bore out the bottom just a little bit, and maybe there is a hard point in there. I can't. It looks like there might be. Yeah, actually there is a hard point. It just kind of missed on the drill a little bit. So half of it is hard. I'm still going to bore it out a little bit. Yeah, I actually can see it now in the light. I'm going to bore it out a little bit, re-hard point it, and re-drill it, because if you're going to make your plane last a long time, you want hard points, because you're going to be taking this on and off. Maybe not, but I take them on and off, put them in my box, and so every time you tighten it down, you want to crush. You're going to try to crush the foam. So I'm going to put a hard point in there. Let's weigh this. It is 7.23, so not super light, not super heavy. 7-gram tail for this size is probably a little heavy, but not too heavy for this price of this plane. It's perfectly super strong, actually really strong. Nice size for the wing size. Now we'll move on to the vert. I've already worked on this vertical a little bit. It had a little foam in the boom pocket, and then as you can see, I kind of radius it out right there. And the reason that is because it's a straight line. So you know, if you were to snap it or hit it, it's going to bust there. So I try to give it as much of a transition on the glue line as I can on everything. Hinge is really nice. Really, really straight. Both tails are really straight. No warps. No, none of that eggshell bumpiness to them. Nice and clean. Nice looking tails. Vertical is 6.8. So they're about 7 grams a piece. So it's about 14 grams for the tail set. Made out of carbon, not bad. So and they fit. The servo pocket fits on there nice. I had to take the foam out of it, slide it back in there, but yeah, you can see, not bad. Looks good. So yeah, so we'll lay that there. Let's move on to the wing. The wing, I think, is awesome. I love the color. I love this kind of Rastafarian kind of color to it. Very shiny, really strong. That we know this XPS foam, or this foam that they're using, is strong. We've dinged them up, crashed them. Not the go-tos, but we've had other planes made of it. It's got, if you can see in the video, I'll kind of look around. It's got a nice wide spar on it, top and bottom, nice and wide. Spars below the surface, looks good. I had to chamfer the holes up here because I'm going to use countersunk screws. They give you some screws that are kind of like these little aluminum things. These might have been for the tail, I don't know, and then they give you these clear plastic screws. I'm not going to use either of them, but if someone was building the plane, they would work perfectly fine. They're fine. The hinges are cut nice. There's a bump up for where the fuse comes on. You can see where once it mates together, they kind of fit flush there. So nice looking, really nice looking. And then the bottom is keyed with countersunk to fit on the nipples on the fuse. So just like the new planes are doing today at, you know, 3/4 the price. So the wing feels real rigid, and for size, for comparison, Let's use a snipe wing. That's what it's kind of modeled after. Here's a damaged snipe wing. So if we put the, let's do it on the bottom. If we line the trailing edges up, not the same radius. We line the trailing edges up. The go-to wing, about leading edge. We did leading edge. The go-to wing is smaller in the root and a little bit bigger in the tip, but they're about the same size. You can see that they're not. The go-to wing has a little more of a sweep to it than the snipe, but they're about the same size. As far as thickness goes, I'd have to get my micrometers out and measure that. I don't really care about doing that right now. Thickness goes, I'll measure them later. Maybe if someone wants to know, I'll put a post what the difference is. So let's go to a full-size wing. Here's a Vibe 2 that I repaired. I picked it up in China from, it was Thomas's plane. I repaired it. Look at that repair right there. Can't feel it, barely see a little dimple there from where it got too hot in my repair, but it's fine. Haven't fixed the bottom of it yet. But for a Vibe 2, which I'm going to be doing a video on this plane also, it is, on the trailing edges up, quite a bit smaller than the Vibe 2 wing. Can't tell the thickness, can't really tell. And then a bigger wing, let's put it against a CX3. So we know the CX3 is a big wing. So if we put, ooh, that's not good. If we put the go behind it, gone. No go. So, ooh, I don't like that. Sorry, my hinge tape on my CX3 is behind the, there we go. If we put it in front of the CX, we can tell that the CX sticks out on pretty much all the sides, all the way around. So that's the size of the go-to wing. I compare it to a snipe wing, about the same size, same sort of shape. Tips are a little different, but that's fine. I have a feeling this thing's going to be a monster launcher. I'm gonna prove that it's going to be a monster launcher. The wing is definitely stiff enough to take it. The ailerons are, oh yeah, I've got them taped here, but yeah, they're stiff enough to take it. This plane's gonna go, and that's kind of no pun intended, but it's really gonna go. So let's weigh this baby. It weighs. If anyone wants to see the weights on this, and don't believe me, I'm not gonna lie about a plane because my reputation is more important than the weight of a wing. So it weighs. Oh, let's get away from that. I'm touching 104.575, 104.6, so 104 grams. Not bad. It's got a little bit of tape on it. So the tape here is, I've already figured out CGs on it, and what I do is I mock the plane up. I put it all together, fold it together, slide everything, tape everything that I need to tape. And then I kind of mentally note where my gear is going to go in it, and how much the gear is going to weigh, and try to build it so that I don't have to use nose weight. Try to build it. Try to think about how the ballast is going to go in it. Try to think about how my antennas are going to be routed, and all that before I ever glue anything together. So I've already done that. I've already figured out where I think this plane's going to CG at. I've already done string testing on it to CG it. So I think this is where it's going to fall in there. And then I kind of put my gear a little forward of that, so in case I'm wrong, that it's easy to do. So I've built, dozens and dozens of snipes, probably 20 of them, so I have a good idea where this is going to fly at and fall at. I've had Vibes, I've had lots of CXs, so rid of the snipe thing. So with the, as I was talking before, with this piece of Roacell or balsa, or you could use the plywood servo tray that's in there, I'm going to push the servos. In fact, the front servo is going to sit way up there because that's all the room I need for my battery and my receiver. So I want my servos, which are going to be from KSTs. Here's a used one. Going to be KSTs. They're going to go as far forward as I can get them, so that I can, and I need to put them to do the balance that I've figured out. I need to put my servo tray about right there. So that puts me about 1.25 forward of the canopy opening. So it's gonna, I think it's gonna work out. I'm gonna have to bore back here. You can see they've got a line back here, but you know where the horns go through, I'll have to bore little slots there. I can see that it's been reinforced there, which is really nice. And so yeah, that's the go-to. I'll take another video when it's done, or maybe if I come across something that's really confusing, or if somebody has a question, just put it down on the groups and we'll talk about it more. And if you need another video or you can't figure out how to do something, email me or put it in the comments. So thanks guys, I'll get to it. Bye.